Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alison Taylor. I'm from the same place that Mike's from. So I'm not going to tell you all about HMP Humbershire, so you should kind of know all about it right now. I'm dealing with a completely different thing. In a way, it's kind of the same. It's all to do with progressions, I think. It's the employment and training portfolio. I know probably most of you will know the individual learning plan. It's something that we really have to do, and us at Manchester College as tutors are, it's one of the compulsory things that we have to do. Now I'll show it to you, and you'll just recognize it because it's dead boring. It's what it does, it proves funding, it proves progression. But the problem with this little document is that most of the time, certainly in my 5 years of being with the college in offender learning, it's us who fills them in as tutors. And blow me, as much as we try, these land up underneath our desks, and what happens when there's an inspector that comes, we'll pull them out at the last minute, we'll tell everybody what an ILP is, and we'll do all the work. Well, I tell you, I'm not one for doing all the work. I'm dead lazy, I am. And you know me, colouring in crayons already. You see them on the tables, they're little bits of crayons and things. There is all a very deep meaning behind the whole lot. I wanted to bring the whole lot together in a document of hope for each learner, and I wanted to tie it in with employability. I've been working on it since 2013. I've got hold of what I call problem cases, really offenders that land up most of the time in SEG, and they've not really got much hope at all. I've taken learners like that, and I've tried to give them something that Norman Crowther said to us a few minutes ago before lunch: give them ownership. And that's how it's working. So we're developing a document now called the Employment and Training Portfolio. It is not anything that the tutor is ever going to have anything to do with. She can support it, or rather tutors can support this document. What it does is it documents achievements. It celebrates achievements. So if somebody's in the cooking class and they cook an absolutely beautiful stone, they can put it in their portfolio. They can take a photograph, or they can take a scan of it, and it can go into their portfolio as a proof almost of what you've done while you've been in prison. Because a lot of the lads come out, they come to job centre, and they've got absolutely nothing to prove. We keep all the documents anyway because we need them for the inspectors. This document, and I'm hoping to get it in a hardbound like this. Unfortunately, we haven't yet procured the funding for this. So what we do now is we're issuing in certain areas a, dare I say, floppy document with all the ideas in it for the offenders to actually have a look at, decide whether they'd like to do it or not, and then they will be guided by either a mentor or what we call a Humber pilot. They're very specific to HMP Humber. It's an offender-led initiative where they offer a support and like a progression. They offer a little bit of help for the other learners, for their peers. We found that it works a lot better, to be honest, to have a peer sitting with a learner than to have a tutor sitting with a learner, because they identify with each other. And there's that very secret, what I call the cycle. Once that cycle goes, when a learner is out, he's got his Cat D, and he said, that works. And he phones his mates inside and says, listen, you've got to try this employment and training portfolio. It actually works. I've got a job. I'm pleased to say that I have got a couple who have got their Cat Ds, who have got their training portfolios, who are out there and have got a job because of it. So it's kind of starting to work, but we've had to do a lot of research, and as Mike said, the minute you start doing something with the foundation or with emCETT or Sunset, they start asking you questions, and you suddenly think, well, I don't know, really. So I've got what I call this Talking Heads research program, where I've actually asked the learners who are doing the employment and training portfolios to feed back a little bit. We found that the biggest problem is with men over the age of 60. And unfortunately, the prison population is getting older every year. They feel that it is an employment document, it's something to show an employer. and they might be close to retirement, so they won't need it. But we're calling it also a journal of achievements. You know, like that school document you got when you left school? Exactly like that. And we're hoping to have it in burgundy and gold with the learner's name on it. You will notice there are no prison numbers, there's no prison insignia, anything like that. This is their document. And I've got a copy over here of a lovely lad who shall be known as Steve, who produced one of these documents for me. He's been in cooking, he's also been in art. And what I've done is I've done a colour copy for you just to have a look and see the type of things that's involved, because obviously I haven't got time to tell you exactly what is inside that document. But what we do is every single academic target we link to an employability target. So it's something that the learner can achieve to better himself. Ladies and gentlemen, are there any questions? Because I do have a multimedia presentation about this, and I'd like to end with that.
I've got one little question. How do you stop them defacing? Not necessarily their own, but other people's.
What we do is we want to start, I don't know if you all know ITES, it's like an induction program that every offender comes to when they first come to prison. We start off with a document that isn't even bound, it's just a few pages put together. I actually teach the mentors too, so I've taught them to run this document so that if anybody shows any interest, they'll start filling this in. They might put in extra poly pockets, they might take some out that they think doesn't apply to them, and then it starts becoming their own. At that point, the mentors will flag up to me that we've got a lad who actually wants to make something of the document, and he'll then get himself a hardcover. So it's almost like a progression within itself. The only reason why that is because we just, am I allowed to say skint? You can hear the South African accent, so sometimes I do use the wrong terminology. But we don't have the money for those ones. They're about £5 each, whereas these we can just about afford to produce at the moment. And as I say, there's a lot of research going on, a lot of strange things coming out of it, and we're changing this portfolio all the time. I'm going to issue it to some Cat Ds tomorrow. Yes, 25 of them tomorrow. And I'm going to have a workshop with them because some of them took a look at the employment statistics there. You'll notice the employability things say things like teamwork, are you a good manager, are you good in a team, that kind of thing. And you can flag up with self-assessments where you need to develop before you leave prison. So it's almost like a a sentence plan, but it's a posh sentence plan, and it's nothing to do with prison. The secret is the ownership, is for them to take pride and to own it. And that's why the hope cranes are on your table. And please, I would like you to take one home with you. There's a little write-up about hope and what the cranes are all about. My group made them for you because they felt they need a bit of hope with this one. The sweeties are pure bribery. I know we don't do that in prison, but please have yourselves lots of sweeties. And if you could offer me feedback, look, I've given you some of these and some of these, and pop it on there where it says your opinions please, then you can become part of my research too, and I would greatly appreciate it. Any more questions? Everybody all right? Can I put on the presentation? What the presentation is all about, you must think I'm nuts wearing the superhero thing. Zero to hero, that's what it's about. And because of course I couldn't give you lovely photographs of all the offenders, I've turned them all into superheroes. You'll see that happening in the presentation. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
I tried so hard to hide my fear. I needed to get out of here, like running in a dream while standing still. To break down all the old frontiers that fenced me in for many years. God knows I will. The fight instead lives on. can achieve with all his might and worth. A champion